Hello friends, my name is Brian Nelson. I am the senior pastor of Jericho City Church of God in Christ in Houston, Texas. For over 15 years, the Lord has blessed us to do itinerant ministry across this country and around the world. For 15 years, the brands of our ministry is deliverance, development, and discipleship. I want to invite you now because class is in session. Thank you. So here's what happens. Thursday night when I get through preaching, I was a young preacher at the time. I was on my way out of the church, and the guy pulled me to the side. He said, "Young man, you don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to scream and holler. You don't have to entertain the people when you preach. You don't have to do all that. You don't need the music. Just teach the gospel. Just teach the word. They'll get it. You don't have to do all that extra stuff." He killed me because I was not trying to entertain. Mark, I was preaching the way I was taught to preach. I modeled my father. And of course, I had the gifts to do it. You know, as a little boy, vocally, I listened to James Moore, I listened to Darrell Coley, you know, and Paul Martin, you know, so those were my impressions. And I was not trying to entertain. I was just trying to get my gospel across. And the close of the sermon for me, I'm done preaching. I'm having fun now. I'm enjoying Jesus. Hallelujah. Here's what he did. He said, "You don't have to do all that." I got in the car, and it was about 70 miles home. I cried all the way home. Wow. Cried all the way home. Because he took from me all I knew at the time. Here's how God works. The Friday night, the close of the revival. Now, of course, I'm torn all the way to church. Because what am I going to do? Am I going to acquiesce to this man's instructions? Because obviously he's older than me. So I don't want to come across as a young guy, you know, who's arrogant and you can't tell him nothing. But at the same time, I can't lose myself. So all the way to church, I'm bewildered. I'm really not sure what I'm going to do. As God would have it, we're walking into church, and there's this handicap ramp right up the side of the door. So I'm going up the steps. There's an old lady on a walker, and she's coming up the ramp. And so as we meet at the door, the old lady, she looks up at me. She's a real short lady, might have been maybe 4.5 feet tall. She leans on her walker, and she looks up at me, and she said, "Son?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." "You the one that preached last night?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Let me tell you something." She said, "You do what you do the way God gave you to do it."
Wow. Yes. That's a good word.
And let me tell you something.
Okay. You at the house.
But let me tell you something.
Tell us about this Friday night.
Watch this. When that lady said that to me, something rose up in me. And I walked in church, and I must say today, God had to have had nothing to do with that night. If he did, thank him. But when I sat down in the pulpit, that woman, she had no idea what she put in me because I needed it. I sat in the pulpit and I stared him down. Oh, I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. And I preached that night, and I couldn't wait until I got to the close. And I remember one moment in my close, I got right in his face, and I hollered, and I hollered. And the people just jumped and screamed. And the more they jumped, I hollered. Because that was redemptive for me. Because there are people who don't share your gifting. And when they see the attention that your gift affords you, they'll try to rob you of it. People have a tendency to fight what they can't do. They only criticize hooping. The only people that criticize hooping is people that can't do it. You know, but again, I'm one of those preachers. I don't believe that hooping is a cure-all because there are some sermons that you can't hoop. And here's just a free line in this lesson. It's not in the outline, but it's a free line in the lesson. There are some sermons you totally dismantle trying to attach a hoop to it. Some sermons are designed to make people walk away in thought. You're not supposed to. Because sometimes the dance or the praise break at the end of the sermon is Satan's sabotage of the message. Wow. Because he sends that smoke screen and we start jumping and shouting. And by the time the shout is over, we have forgotten about what the word has challenged us to do. All right, so I'm going to get caught up there, and I don't want to get caught up there, but you have to master your method. Who are you modeling yourself after? And just because your model is not your pastor doesn't mean your pastor is not your pastor. You know, because we live in a day now, everybody got 2 or 3 spiritual mothers and fathers. You know, it changes every year. I have one spiritual father.